Dominic Reyes, our boy, is fighting tomorrow at UFC 310 against Anthony Smith. And dude, hopefully it's going to be one of the best fucking comeback stories in the UFC for the entire year. And you know what? It got me thinking. It's kind of putting out a feel-good energy out in the air. You know, Dominic Reyes, after going on this losing skid, this getting knocked out skid, hopefully can have an amazing 2-0 comeback of 2024. And it got me thinking about the other guys who have had a feel-good comeback. You know, who have been fighters who have won one and then lost two, won one, lost two, and now they're finally getting it going again. Or who's been just, 0-4 and now they're 4-0. Who were the fighters, even with that one big loss that kind of just set them back, that are now turning it around already? So today we're going to be talking about the UFC fighters that have had the best comebacks of 2024. So just getting in the first one, and I feel like when you think of the big comeback stories this year, dude, I feel like we're all thinking about Petr motherfucking Yan. And dude, everybody loves this guy, okay? I mean, if you weren't a fan before, I feel like 2024 really put him back on, and the wins over Song Yadong and Davison Figueiredo were absolutely masterclasses. The win over Figgy, too, is a great win to have on the resume. Not that Song Yadong isn't, but Song Yadong basically put him back on the map, showed why he deserved to be remaining in that top 5 and defending that spot. And then when he, beat a guy like Figgy, who was on a roll in his own right at bantamweight, it's like, it really shows that now he's not just defending his spot, now he's having title shot or title aspirations in general. So, Yan is fucking back, man, because him going 0-3 and 22 fucking hurt. The DQ loss to Sterling hurt in a different way. It set him back in a different way because, yeah, it was his fault, but it also fucking wasn't. The whole thing was a mess, but it wasn't really a loss, okay? Like, when he lost to Sterling the second time, or I guess technically the first time, that was a real loss. Split decision, may it be, what the fuck am I talking about? It sounds like I'm talking in cursive, but still, a lot of people still thought that Sterling won that fight, and then the fight against O'Malley, it's unfortunate as well, because another close fucking call in Jan's career. You can go either way, a lot of people thought that Yan won that fight against O'Malley. You can't really argue anything against Dvalishvili. Maybe you can't. No, you can't. It's fucked up. That one hurt a lot of people, dude. A lot of parlays, a lot of souls. It just hurt. But yeah, so just 0-3, for a fan favorite like Yan, like it hurt to go through that. It's like Yan still though maintains so many fans. It showed that he's not just a guy that like needs to have a belt to maintain his fan base. Look at a guy like Leon Mumblemouth fucking Edwards, dude. I feel like genuinely nobody's been talking about this guy since he lost the belt. Like, where are all the Leon Edwards fans? You know what I mean? I want to fight Gilbert Burns next, bruv. I want the quadrilogy with Colby Covington, yeah. Where are all the Leon fans? So that's what I'm saying, like one of those guys that like really needed the belt. But Yan, he's back, and like I think he's gonna probably wait out to see the winner of Merab versus Umar, especially now that was freshly announced. The timeline is perfect too. Maybe the winner of that will fight Yan around like the summer or the fall. So it's a solid turnaround for the winner of the title fight and for Yan. Nobody has to really sit out for too long. It relatively makes sense for everybody here. So it's win-win. Yan's probably gonna fight the winner next. So really has just established himself at belonging to the top. So Yan is absolutely fucking back this year. Love to see it. Great performances. No finishes for kind of a few years now. Not since Jose Aldo in 2020, but we'll get it eventually, man. I'm just happy that Yan is back in the win column, and he's been putting on great performances. So moving on, up next to KG motherfucking date. Grant Dawson, dude. So I get that a lot of people aren't a fan of this guy, but I fuck with Grant Dawson, all right? And I'm going to stand on that because this guy, I understand that, he hasn't lost the most fights. Like some of these guys that you're going to see, they've lost like multiple fights. Grant Dawson only lost to Bobby Green really in 2023. So it's like, I get why some people are like, oh yeah, he might be winning now, but how is that really a comeback? The thing is, dude, like the amount of aura that Dawson lost, or a lot of people thought that Dawson lost after that knockout to Bobby Green, because Dawson was a massive favorite going into the fight. He was ranked number 10 without even having beaten, I don't believe, any ranked opponents at the time. So like the hype was big on this guy. He was undefeated, I think, in the UFC. I think just one draw. So he was on the tear, and he was rising through the fucking rankings, and they threw him Bobby Green, and they just completely killed his stock. It's not even like it's bad to lose to Bobby Green, but the fact that it was in the first round, first 30 seconds, I think, and the fact that, it was to Bobby Green. I don't think there's anything wrong with losing to Bobby Green, but the fact that there was all this momentum going for him and the spotlight was on him, and the fact that it is what it is, but the fact that it was Bobby Green, and like I'm saying, there's something wrong with losing to Bobby Green, but I just think the fact that if you're losing in the first 30 seconds to Bobby Green, it's going to show that what are you going to do when you get to the top 5 and the top 10, because there's such fucking levels, I feel like, when you go through the rankings. And so Dawson, I feel like a lot of people were saying he got fraud checked, he's never going to make it back in the rankings. I mean, he fell from number 10 just to completely out of the rankings within like a week. It was insane. insane. So a lot of people were counting this guy out, saying he got fraud checks, saying he was one-dimensional, saying he had no shot at coming back. And you know what? He came back, UFC 302 this June, and he got a win over Joe Solecki. Pretty dud of a fight, not gonna lie, but it was a dominant win for him, and he looked good. Got himself back in the win column. And then the win over Rafa Garcia was a really good win. You know, it was a nice finish. He had a nice fucking promo afterwards, kind of putting himself on the map again. And the win over Garcia was a fantastic win. So now he's 2-0 in 2024, and he's ranked back in the top 15, you know. I think maybe it was like RDA probably fell out, and they swapped in Grant Dawson, because I don't know who was at 15 before, but Dawson is back in the rankings. I think it was RDA. So I'm happy for the guy. Again, I'm a Grant Dawson fan. So he went 2-0 this year. Good performances, especially the latter, and he's already booked for a fight at UFC 311, which is a stacked fucking card, by the way. So he's going to have a lot more eyes on him as well. Probably going to be in the prelims, but still he's fighting Diego Ferreira, which is a good opponent, and it's a good fight, and it's good to kind of keep the win streak going if he does come out on top, because it's kind of a good step up from like Rafa Garcia and Joe Solecki. So Grant Dawson, he's fucking back, and I'm excited for this guy for 2025. I think he's going to keep rising the ranks. So moving on up next to Charles Johnson, who honestly had one of the best 2024s out of anyone there is, you know, comeback or not. This guy went 4-0 in 2024, and he was 1-3 last year. And you got to respect 8 fights in 2 years. He's active as fuck. You got to respect it. You got to love it. And the wins this year were good, man. The knockout over Joshua Van caught a lot of people off guard. I mean, that was a great fight, and Van is such a good up-and-coming prospect right now, has a lot of hype behind him, or is gaining a lot, you know. The win over Sumu Darji, who's kind of a well-known name, that was a good win. Close fight, not gonna lie. I mean, you can kind of go either or on who you thought won, but still, it's a win. He had a great fight against Azam Ascom in February. What was that, February 3rd? Yeah, Dolidze against Imavov. So, I mean, this guy's been on an absolute fucking roll this year. He's active, he has a good personality, he has a fun fight style, he has crisp, good striking. And now, here's the thing, now he's ranked number 12, you know, entered the rankings, and it's been slowly rising, and kind of like gaining a lot of momentum and hype. And I think that's great, you know, and flyweight is one of, I don't know why I said flyweight like that, but flyweight's one of those divisions where the prospects and, you know, these guys that are kind of like building up good win streaks and being active as fuck, they're really starting to take over, and I think it's really going to start to shine in 2025, and I think Charles Johnson's going to be one of those guys that paves the way. But the question is now he's entering that top 10, now he's entering that top 5. How's he going to do against a fucking, you know, a Brandon Moreno or Brandon Royval, a Tatsuro Taira, like guys like this? I think there's matchups for him that are winnable, like a Steve Urseg or a Manel Cobb and Alex Perez, but you know, there's a lot of weird gaps at flyweight. Like, you randomly go from like a Steve Urseg to a fucking Brandon Moreno, and it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of winnable matchups for him in the top 10, so I'm excited for him, and I'm happy that he had such an amazing, you know, comeback, because again, good fight style, good personality. But it's going to be interesting to see now that he's finally at this kind of like more elite level, how he's going to be able to do against the higher competition. So, I'm happy for Charles Johnson, man, and it was a nice comeback to see from this fucking year. So, moving on next to Dan Hooker. Now, I know that Dan Hooker only fought once this year, had an amazing fucking fight against Matus Gamrot, but it's more so about just like the streak that he's on. Like, I feel like this is the year that people realize, like, oh shit, dude, Dan Hooker is back. Like, when he got the win over Claudio Puelles, it was more like, okay, like, kind of beating a jabroni here, like, just to get Hooker back in the win column, you know, because he was 1-4 in his last 5 before that, from 2020 to 2022. It was rough. As you see on your fucking screen, losing to Alan Makachev. Oh, the Alan loss was rough because you tried to make featherweight. That was rough. But losing to Alan, Makachev, Chandler, and Poirier, I mean, so when he beat Claudio, it was kind of just like, all right, back in the win column, but it's kind of what he's supposed to be doing. The win over Jalen Turner was where he really started to catch eyes, but I don't think anybody really thought, oh, Dan Hooker is back, baby. It's more so like, damn, Dan Hooker is still here. Like, he's around, man, you know, like, he just proved, and he had a great fucking war. Yeah, the fight against Turner, he proved, like, you know what, no, like, I'm here to stay in the top 10, and, like, y'all must have forgot, you know what I mean? But now, the win against Gamrot proved, like, okay, now he has genuine title aspirations again. You know, he always did, but I'm saying in the terms of the viewer and the fan, it's like, oh, dude, Dan Hooker in the top 5. That was insane, and on nobody's fucking 2024 bingo card that Dan Hooker would end up back in the top 5. I know now he's like number 6 already and shit, but I'm still, man, I mean, it's incredible to see. Dan Hooker's a big fan favorite. He's one of the BMFs, super entertaining fight style. So to see there's just this resurgence, you know, just in the energy, regaining all the aura, getting good wins, you know, showing good well-roundedness as a fighter. You know, he's always had, you know, things like really good crisp striking, you know, and he has power, and he has just the ability to put on such volume on these guys. He also has really good takedown defense. Like, he's always had these qualities, but like, he's really been letting it shine lately and really putting himself back out there. So love to fucking see it from Dan Hooker, doing it for the Aussies, doing it for the motherfucking Kiwis. So gonna be interesting to see now. I mean, is he gonna fight a guy like Charles Oliveira? Is he gonna fight a guy like Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje? Like, there's a lot of good, really intriguing matchups for him. Even the Dustin Poirier rematch, you know, it's not the first thing on a lot of people's minds, but that was one of the best fights of all time. Imagine if they ran it back. So Dan Hooker, being in the top 6 again. Fun, relevant, fresh, elite matchups. So is he going to win a lot of those matchups? I don't personally think so, but I think a lot of them, he's got a good fucking shot. So we'll see. So moving on up next to Manny Moicano, dude. This guy's another one who's one of my favorites on the roster, dude. So seeing him have this kind of just high of highs this year, again, he had one of the best 2024s you can get out of any fighter pound for pound on the roster. I mean, 3-0, dominant win over BSD. I know that BSD came back in that second round, but I mean, Moicano even said he knew that the fight was over, brother. I need Paddy Pimblett, you know what I mean? So he had a great win over BSD, a great win over Jalen Turner, fucking destroyed everybody's parlays, even mine. But, happy for Moicano in that one, dude. Had a decent win, good win over Drew Dober. Because 2024 itself, man, I mean, this guy went on an absolute fucking tear, didn't fight in 2023. And before that, like it says on your screen, was kind of 2-2 before he started racking up this little bit of a win streak he's got going on. So it was kind of, I don't want to say looking rough, like, oh, dude, Moicano's gonna get split, dude. Moicano's completely out of it. But, because the kid wasn't just getting shit on, he still was getting wins. But the thing is, like, now he has so much momentum. Now he's getting back a lot of this aura. Now he's putting himself against these big hypothetical matchups. He's thinking about Dan Hookers and Paddy Pimbletts, and now he's fighting Beneil Dariush, who, is Dariush a great name? No, but you know what? Dariush is someone who's in the top 10, who's fought elite guys, who was on a good win streak, and it's a way for Moicano to kind of slip himself into that top 10 of the lightweight division, Are there holes in Moicano's game? Yeah, but dude, who gives a fuck? This guy's got an entertaining fight style, he's on a roll, he's got a personality, he's good on the mic, and show me the money pod, dude. Show me the money pod. I think there's going to be big things for him next year. I think he's going to go beat Beneil Dariush. I think Paddy Pimblett's going to fight somebody in March. I would have loved to see the fight versus Moicano versus Paddy. I think it made a lot of sense, but you know what? I'm glad to see Moicano kind of get a chance to move up in the top 10 instead of fighting down again. As amazing as the fight against Paddy is, I think Paddy's going to be probably whoever he fights next. I don't know who they're going to get Paddy next now anymore, to be fucking honest with you, but Paddy will probably run it in March, and then these guys can fight in like the summer or the fall. So I think Moicano's going to have a good 2025. He had a great 2024. I mean, the guy was active as hell. And how is he going to do against like the top 5? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think like a Dan Hooker is like a good matchup against him. I think he can even make it competitive against like a Justin Gaethje. I just think like when you get to guys like the Max Holloways or the Arman Saryukians or the Islam Makhachevs, that's where there's a lot of questions. But Moicano's a dangerous matchup for a lot of the guys in the division. I think he's gaining a lot of hype and momentum. Happy as fuck for the guy. So he's going to keep it rolling against Dariush, I feel like. So moving on next to Joaquin motherfucking Buckley. So honestly, dude, this guy's had one of the best 2024s there is. Like I'm saying with Moicano. I mean, this guy moving to welterweight was one of the best things there was, because he's beaten Steven Thompson, Nursultan Ruzaboyev, smashed him in his own hometown. Buckley's hometown, you know what I mean. Vicente Luque got a good win over. And I know he also has wins on the streak like Alex Morono. Aren't the best, but it's just like they're not bad wins, they're good performances, and now he's finally moving up to more elite competition. I do think he's going to beat Colby Covington, enter the top 6, and it's crazy to think that Joaquin Buckley's going to be around like that top 5 area, with the Shavkat Rakhmanovs, JDM, Sean Brady's. Like Joaquin Buckley, I really do think he's going to be up there, man. And it's just the fact that he went 3-0 this year, he's active as fuck, and he could go 4-0. Joaquin Buckley, I think, is the only fighter on this list who has yet to fight this year. That could be wrong, but still, Joaquin Buckley, man. I mean, if he beats Colby Covington 4-0, and he's going to be going from, I believe, unranked to top 6. It's fucking crazy. I mean, this guy's totally been showing off his skills and his well-roundedness. He's crisp on the feet and he has good striking. He puts on good volume and gets better as the fight progresses. I mean, the third round, he goes out like a madman. Shows a bit of urgency. It kind of looks for a finish, which as fans, we like to see, You want a fighter who is kind of like brash on the mic and is active as fuck and can have a fun fight style. I mean, Joaquin Buckley can take down most guys. He has solid takedown defenses for himself as well. Again, showing well-roundedness, showing what he has in his arsenal. I think he's dangerous for a lot of guys. Is he going to be like a JDM or a Shavkat? I don't know. Maybe not even an Ian Gary. But the thing is, like, I think he beats a lot of the guys in that top 15. And Buckley, there's some days where I'm a fan, and there's some days where I'm like, why did you just say what you just said? But I do fuck with Buckley, though. I mean, I'm rooting for this guy. I think he's been moving on well since that fucking McGregor call, dude. I think that kind of took him, 2 steps forward, 1 step back with that fucking thing. But he's absolutely been looking mean. I think there's a lot of good matchups for him, and I think that it's crazy to see. It's just another one of those examples, man, of how a weight class can really matter a lot for a guy. So, I mean, Luke getting knocked out to Chris Curtis versus now you're knocking out Steven Thompson. It's insane. So, moving on up next to my last 2 picks, and these 2 picks, you're going to see on your screen right now, it's Khamzat Chimaev. He has an asterisk next to him. Both these picks are going to have asterisks next to them because these are guys who weren't really losing or didn't have like a big loss at all. These are guys who are on win streaks, but they had comebacks in regards to like their aura. Their aura is replenished. It was running low, going going on E, but now it is back, you know. They're getting the momentum back, the hype back, even a lot of the fans back. So that's what the asterisk is. These guys are winning, but it's more so that they're gaining themselves, or sorry, they're putting themselves back on the map. They're raising their stock. They came back in an emotional way, you know. So Khamzat Chimaev, man, I mean, this guy, people and myself included, I mean, there's videos of me on this fucking channel saying it. I mean, I was shitting on Chimaev, man, you know. I did not like the inactivity. I just thought that there was so much potential with this guy, but it was just all like, was he ever even gonna make it to the cage? You know what I mean? I mean, he was so brash in there. He's such an exciting fight style. I mean, people are calling him the Mike Tyson of grappling, and it's just like, I thought that a lot of these things were true, but I just think that he was his own downfall. I mean, the whole weight cut shit. I mean, I do think he's fucking massive for welterweight, so I think he just needed to move up to middleweight sooner. But still, like, the weight cuts and all the sicknesses, and again, a lot of this shit isn't his fault, but it just hurt his stock a lot. And a lot of people were talking pretty rough about this guy going into the fight. I just think a lot of people were saying that Bobby Knuckles is going to go out and drown this guy and show the experience, show there's levels. And dude, like I'm saying, I was saying a lot of this shit as well, dude. I made a whole fucking video about how Whitaker was going to fucking 49-46 him, dude. It aged like milk. So Khamzat Chimaev was a big fan favorite. I feel like over the last couple years, like around like that Kevin Holland time and the Usman time, and kind of even just like 2024 in general, pulled out against Whitaker the first time, like kind of each hit was hitting harder for a lot of fans, and a lot of people are falling off and buying off the hype train. But Khamzat Chimaev reminds us every fucking time, despite the bullshit outside the cage that I guess you can count on him always showing up inside, dude, because he absolutely fucking smashed Bobby Knuckles. Put him out of there, and it just went to show that the Usman, I mean, Usman was smiling, you know, probably pretty big watching that, to be honest, because it made his loss look good, you know? And I mean, he's really building up a lot of names on the resume. He's really kind of just put himself back on the map. He's absolutely undeniable now for a title shot. People are saying that this guy is going to never fight again, and now he's absolutely undeniable. A lot of people are saying, myself included, for the fucking next title shot. So it's just crazy how things work out so wild after one fight. But that's what a round one sub over Bobby Knuckles will do. He's going to fight the winner of Strickland and DDP next, and I feel like DDP's going to win that fight. And then these guys are going to fight probably in like October, probably Abu Dhabi or some shit. So Khamzat Chimaev, dude, he's fucking back emotionally. I mean, he's always been winning, but dude, he really, like, I feel like he hasn't had this much pure just hype around him since like the Li Jingliang and like the Gilbert Burns kind of time period, you know what I mean? So Khamzat Chimaev, man, he's back. And moving on to the final pick we have here is Paddy Pimblett, and Paddy Pimblett's the same situation because Paddy Pimblett's undefeated 6-0 in the UFC, but he's back emotionally, all right? He's back aura-wise, you know? He's back, he's got the momentum back and the hype around him because the Jared Gordon shit just absolutely took him off the map. You know, he was 3-0 in the UFC prior, all finishes, and like, yeah, people were saying, oh, the guy with the stupid fucking haircut, but you know what, the guy with the stupid fucking haircut went out and he just subbed Jordan Levitt. So it was weird with Pimblett because he was getting like scares in his early on fights, you know, he was getting rocked or he was getting caught in like close submission attempts, and it was just kind of like, what's all the hype around? But the fact was, he has an entertaining fight style, you know, he's good on the mic, he has kind of like a loud, outward, entertaining personality for a lot of people, and it's just, the UFC wanted to buy into that, and it's just the Jared Gordon one, man, what should have just been another step up in competition became his worst fucking nightmare, dude, because absolutely just haunted his career, and it took him just so far back. And the promo afterwards where it's like, Dana for the night, it just absolutely just did not help. It just didn't even make any fucking sense how the judges gave it to him, especially that first round, I believe. So it is what it is. It was pretty fucking rigged to most people. I mean, it's like a Dominic Reyes situation. Since that's what we're talking about with Dominic Reyes, right? But after a Gordon fight, you know what? Fuck it, he took a year off and he came back and beat Ferguson. And that one didn't really put him back on the map. Didn't really give him a lot of hype again, you know? I mean, the year off was good for him just because, you know, gives it a little time for people to kind of forget about it a bit more. But then again, it is MMA fans. It's hard to get people to forget, man. People forget, man. But the Tony Ferguson win, I mean, Ferguson 0-7 in his last 7 at that point. So it didn't really do too much. It just got Paddy another win and showed that he's back. I'm fucking back, mate. Who's gonna carry the boats, Tony? You know what I mean? And then the win over Bobby Green. I thought that Paddy was gonna win that fight going into it. Once I saw that Paddy was like an underdog when the odds first got announced, I just cashed right away. I'm like, dude, Paddy's fucking winning this one, all right? The plot armor is real, and everyone's like, King Green, man, it's just gonna overwhelm with the experience and the striking. Paddy can hold his own on the feet against most guys, man. Like, he's solid on the feet. He could hold his own with the pace and the volume against most people. I think and I'm saying most people like this because I just think when you get to that top 5 and some of the matchups in the top 10, I think it's going to start to get pretty difficult for him. But I think everyone outside the rankings for the most part, and like the guys around like that 10 to 15 range, like I think he's beaten a lot of these guys, if not all of them. Like Paddy is really fucking good on the ground. He has an entertaining fight style. He has ever improving striking. There are holes in Paddy's game for sure, and I think when he gets to certain opponents, it's going to be very concerning for him. But as of right now, man, like I think whoever they fucking throw him against in March, he's probably going to get the better of him. I mean, they're not stupid with who they're going to book him against, especially in London. So Bobby Green, dude, I just think the fact that when you get a guy, well grizzled, long-term vet, and a lot of people know him, and like a lot of people thought he was going to win that matchup. So getting the win the way he did, first round sub, and I get that Green was the one that shot, but the ends don't justify the means. So Paddy, he's fucking back. Probably got all 80 pounds back as well. That's where he's at right now. Got to get ready for that cut soon, bro. It's December to March, but still, man, Paddy is fucking back. Emotionally and momentum-wise. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, so yeah, thank you guys so very much for making it this far into the video. I appreciate you guys for that. And just watching in general, All the Smoke MMA. We just hit 500 subscribers, so I appreciate you guys a lot for that. So thanks so very much for giving you guys time. I appreciate it. So let me know y'all's opinions in the comments below. Would love to hear it. We're here to fucking talk MMA. You know what I mean? So we're in for a fucking sweet and a fucking stacked UFC 310 tomorrow, top to bottom. So it's gonna be a fun one. See you guys then. Like I'm gonna fucking be meeting up with y'all in Vegas, but you know what I mean. Let's go fucking watch some fights. And I appreciate y'all for watching. See you guys next time. Have a good one.